are on Genesis chapter 42. And the first two verses are, "Now Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt. And Jacob said to his sons, 'Why are you staring at one another?' And he said, 'Behold, I've heard there's grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us from that place so that we may live and not die.'" Well, Joseph speaks as if he's kind of put out with his boys, and it would appear that he is. The famine has hit that part of the world really, really hard. He heard that they have grain in Egypt. Now, the lack of rain has been a way that Elohim has shown his control over the world. It also happened in the days of Elijah. In 1 Kings 17, verse 1, we read, "Now Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the settlers of Gilead, said to Ahab, 'As Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, lives, before whom I stand, surely there shall be neither dew nor rain these years, except by my word.'" And then in 1 Kings 18, verse 1, "Now it came about after many days that the word of Yahweh came to Elijah in the third year, saying, 'Go, show yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain on the face of the earth.'" Elohim's in control of these things. We are not in control of the weather, the climate, or anything like that, even if we drive an SUV. It's just not the way it is. He's in control of this, and he uses it to show that he's in control. And just as an example, look over the Muslim countries in this world. Why are all of them desert? Yeah, because they're desolation. That's right. Verses 3 and 4 of Genesis 42. "Then 10 brothers of Joseph went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he said, 'I'm afraid that harm may befall him.' So 10 of Joseph's brothers went to buy grain in Egypt. Jacob did not want Benjamin to go because he's the only other son of Rachel. And he has taken Joseph's place here now as the center of his affection." Now, this is similar to what happens to the tribes of Israel. 10 tribes, the northern kingdom of Israel, are sent out into the world, while the other 2, the southern kingdom of Judah, stay in the land. Later, all the sons of Israel were sent into the world for an extended period of time, just as all the tribes were dispersed into the world by Assyria and then Babylon also for many centuries. Verses 5 and 6, "So the sons of Israel came to buy grain among those who were coming, for the famine was in the land of Canaan also. So Joseph was the ruler over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land, and Joseph's brothers came and bowed down to him with their faces to the ground." And that is exactly the fulfillment of what we were told would happen. The dream that he had, that's right.
Yeah, they didn't like it the first time he told them.
Yeah, now they're living it, but they don't realize it. Verse 7, "When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he disguised himself to them and spoke to them harshly. And he said to them, 'Where have you come from?' And they said, 'From the land of Canaan, to buy food.'" Joseph is not going to reveal himself to his brothers yet. Now, for all he knew, his brothers were still men that were deceitful and very dangerous. When they sold him into slavery back in chapter 37, it says, they conspired against him. Joseph is doing a little conspiring now himself. Verses 8 and 9. "But Joseph had recognized his brothers, although they did not recognize him. And Joseph remembered the dreams which he had about them, and said to them, 'You're spies. You've come to look at the undefended parts of our land.' They didn't recognize him because the last time they saw him, he was a teenager. And this is over 20 years later. And I'm sure he dressed like an Egyptian and had Egyptian ways and mannerisms. So he was much different from what they remember. Verse 10, "Then they said to him, 'No, my master, but your servants have come to buy food. We're all sons of one man. We're honest men. Your servants are not spies.' Yet he said to them, 'No, but you've come to look at the undefended parts of our land.' Now, Joseph, what he's doing here, he's devising a test to see if they'll do to Simeon or Benjamin what they did to him. He wants to see if they had actually changed their ways. Keep in mind, his brothers, he saw them do an awful lot of stuff. Remember when two of them conspired to kill off a city? And that was unjust, just because their sister was kind of loose. And they thought that brought shame to them, so that's what they did. Well, Joseph accuses them of coming to see the nakedness of the land, and he's accusing them of examining the nation of Egypt to see what weakness now might exist due to this famine that's going on. He is accusing them of being hostile as a people or as a nation toward the nation of Egypt. Verse 13, but they said, your servants are 12 brothers in all, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is with our father today, and one is no more. Joseph said to them, it is as I said to you, you are spies. They avoid saying to, the one brother's dead. They just say, well, he's not amongst us anymore. Joseph is intent on testing them. He tells them they're to be considered spies until he's convinced otherwise. Now, how can they convince him otherwise? That they're not spies. Come from a foreign land, you're spies. Now, I'm in complete control of the world. Prove me wrong. How can you do that? I have no idea. Verse 15. By this you'll be tested. By the life of Pharaoh you shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you that he may get your brother while you remain confined, that your words may be tested, whether there's truth in you. But if not, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies. Joseph, you know what he wanted to know, in my opinion? He wanted to know if they killed Benjamin. Like they thought they did him. That's what he's wondering. Yeah, they're jealous of him too. He was the other son of Rachel. That's what he wanted to see. Did they kill him or send him off into slavery like they did him?
Was Benjamin alive when Joseph was at home?
Yes, he was. Yep, he was alive. But once again, he knew that he was going to take the place as the favorite after he left. The phrase, by the life of Pharaoh, it's one that was used on occasion in that day. It's found on some inscriptions from about 2000 BC, by the way. Verse 17. So he put them all together in prison for 3 days. Now Joseph said to them, on the third day, do this and live, for I fear Elohim. What's the greatest deterrence from evil? You know what it is? It's a fear of Elohim. That's the greatest deterrence of evil. Yeah. Fearing retribution from the Almighty Elohim keeps us from sin better than anything else. And I could quote you the 25 or 35 references, but it's the beginning of knowledge. It's a number of things. Verse 19. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers be confined in your prison. But as for the rest of you, go, carry grain for the famine of your households. And bring your youngest brother to me so that your words may be verified and you will not die. And they did so. See, Joseph, he's speaking from the heart when he says, if you're honest men. Okay? He doesn't trust them. He does not trust them, and he's wise in not trusting them. Yeah. Are you really honest? Isn't that strange that Elohim chose that group? You got Jacob, kind of a deceiver, and then all them kids, and there were problems. There were problems there. Big problems. Verse 21. Then they said to one another, truly we are guilty concerning our brother, because we saw the distress of his soul when he pleaded with us. Yet we would not listen. Therefore this distress has come upon us. And Reuben answered them, saying, did I not tell you, do not sin against the boy? And you would not listen. Now comes the reckoning for his blood. They did not know, however, that Joseph understood for there was an interpreter between them. This confession of sin is what Joseph wanted to hear from them all along. Now, what does this mean? They didn't know that Joseph understood, for there was an interpreter between them. That sound a little confusing? What does that mean? Why? Why? Yeah? Right, exactly. You're right. I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah, he used an interpreter so they would think he couldn't understand them. Okay? So that was the whole deal. It's all part of the ruse. So they wouldn't figure out who he is. They had no idea that he understood everything they said. Verse 24, and he turned away from them and wept. But when he returned to them and spoke to them, he took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. Having heard that Reuben, the eldest, tried to save him, he detains the second one in line, which is Simeon. Verse 25, then Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain and to restore every man's money in his sack, and to give them provisions for the journey. And thus it was done for them. So they loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed from there. So Joseph had their packs loaded and their money returned without their knowledge. We're not told why he did this. We don't know if it's him wanting to test their integrity, which is kind of what I lean towards, or to intensify the psychological pressure on his brothers. Could be that too. Verse 27, and as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his money, and behold, it was in the mouth of the sack. Then he said to his brothers, my money has been returned, and behold, it is even in my sack. And their hearts sank, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, what is this that Elohim has done to us? And here's the problem. They got the money back, and they got the grain, but they've got to go back. Yeah, you got to go back and face him. Yeah. Not only are they spies, but now they're thieves. That's right. And they have to go back and face him if they want their brother back. Verse 29, when they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them, saying, the master of the land, spoke harshly with us and took us for spies of the country. But we said to him, we are honest men, we're not spies. We're 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is with our father today in the land of Canaan. So there they are now. They're going to look like spies and thieves. And they've got to go back and face the ruler of the world. No, he wasn't happy the last time they saw him, and now he's going to be twice as unhappy. Verse 33, and the man, the master of the land, said to us, by this I shall know that you're honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me and take grain for the famine of your households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me, that I may know that you're not spies, but honest men. I'll give your brother to you, and you may trade in the land. Now it came about, as they were emptying their sacks, that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when they and their father saw their bundles of money, they were dismayed. Well, they saw they had all their money back. They're going to look guilty as can be. And they have to face intense pressure here in order to get Simeon back. Not only can you not prove that you're not a spy, how are you going to prove you're not a thief when it's apparent that you are? Verse 36, and their father Jacob said to them, you bereaved me and my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. And you would take Benjamin. All these things are against me. Then Reuben spoke to his father, saying, you may put my 2 sons to death if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my care, and I'll return him to you. You know, Reuben makes a pledge to his father that he'll return with Benjamin, and it's one that backfires on him. Verse 38, but Jacob said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he alone is left. If harm should befall him on the journey you're taking, then you'll bring my gray hair down to Sheol, to the grave, in sorrow. Jacob says that Benjamin is all he's got left. He means that Benjamin is all he has left of his beloved wife, Rachel. That's all there is. And he loved her greatly. And he says, as far as you taking Benjamin there to Egypt, the answer is no. No.
I had some idea what happened to his brother too.
Well, I don't know. But he doesn't speak highly of the 10 brothers at all. He knows what they're made of.
You know, even before they left, he was, why are you just staring? He wasn't too happy with Israel at that time.
Right.
Before he sent them down there.
Sure, at the very beginning.
And when they come back and, you know, they can't you guys be
Right. Can't you guys do anything right? Yeah. Yeah, he's not a happy daddy. There's an unhappy Pharaoh's assistant. There's some very saddened 10 brothers. It's not a good situation. These guys deserve a little pressure in their life. They really do. Some tough times. Because there's some character that needs to be built. Any other thoughts on that?